What's up, everybody? This is Lance. I am the host from the Health and Real Estate Podcast. And today I have a super cool guest with me. I've known him for a while. We've gotten into some trouble together, which we'll talk about. And we've gotten healthy together. And we've lived in a different country together. So we will get into all of that. But my guest today is Kevin Luna. So what's up, Kevin? How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. And I'm very inspired by your podcast. You're doing great and it looks professional. Looks like you took some notes and from lots of different people. And I know that that's what you always do. And it looks like you're doing a great job and really I think making an impact, which I think is most important. A lot of people are doing a lot of talking, and I think that you're doing a lot of walking the walk and making an impact.
Awesome. Thank you. And I love your podcast too. So you were some inspiration behind mine. We'll give your podcast a quick plug. It is the Empathy Podcast, right?
Yeah, definitely. The Empathy podcast we have is some similarities to yours in a way. Lots of real transformation stories, lots of people doing real things. People like Lance and people that are just fighting to make the world a better place for the animals and people.
Awesome. I love it. So let's start from the beginning. I don't remember exactly where or when we met. I don't know if you do, but I know it was through animal rights. Do you quite remember?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly like the exact moment, and I was thinking about it too, but for sure it was most likely like in my when I'm thinking of the things that we did together in the beginning, I think direct action everywhere. I know that we were both working for them, and
Mhm.
it could potentially be one of the actions that we did together because I was working with the San Diego chapter and
Mhm.
doing work with them at the time. I mean, I did lots of different things with them, and we did lots of different protests and lots of different. I remember speaking in front of Congress or whatever, some kind of hearing, I don't know, and talking about the environment and the animals and the impact and just speaking up. And I remember like the way some people that were like really negative towards me, they're like, "Oh, that's a really good way to do it." And I like that. I like the way that you shared it. And I was kind of like, "That's interesting." Some people that were more like naysayers, but like, different things. And then I was responsible for filming when I went up to Los Angeles. And I know the one that I remember specifically where we did together, for sure. I don't know if it was the first time, was in Los Angeles when we did a shutdown for 48 hours of the Farmer John's slaughterhouse. And my responsibility for my chapter on that one was to film. So I was filming and doing all that sort of stuff. I like filming, and I used to film a lot. And I mean, I still film, I guess, all the time. There's all like little films, but I was filming and documenting, and so that was the main priority there. And I know that you were doing something different, but you weren't part of San Diego, right?
At the time, I think I was living in LA, but I was kind of bouncing back and forth between San Diego and LA. But yeah, that was quite the action. That was so for those that don't know, there was a slaughterhouse in Los Angeles. It was in Vernon, which is kind of like the industrial part of Los Angeles, kind of right outside of downtown LA. And that was the biggest slaughterhouse in in the West Coast, where I think they slaughtered up to 10,000 pigs a day, and they used the main method that they used was a gas chamber. They would literally gas pigs. Um, so it was very heartbreaking, and they would haul in all these pigs from these transport trucks. And there was an action where people it was called what was it? You would bear witness. What was the group? The Safe group? What were they called?
Yeah, I think
Um
Save Movement.
yeah, the Save movement. That's what they're called. So it was a form of activism where when these transport trucks would come in with, just hundreds of pigs, they would stop in the street before they entered the slaughterhouse, and they would allow the people and the activists to, give water to these pigs and to show them love and kindness before they're, gassed to death. So we would do that, and then one day, we kind of shut the place down, and a couple of years later, that place ended up closing down. So that was cool. Well, yeah, so that's kind of how we met. We got in, had some activism and stuff. But what led you into going vegan, or how'd you come across like the vegan lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here in Southern California too, so San Diego right now and born and raised. And I think I lived a lot like the typical, kind of Southern Californian or so, and just eating a lot of, convenience, fast food, and eating a lot of that lifestyle and eating all the Mexican food. You have the, taco shops everywhere, food trucks everywhere, and you have the big city stuff. So you have all the fast food locations and stuff like that. And I pretty much got hooked on that. And I liked the convenience. I liked the quick fast food. And I mean, I like the taste. I'd be like, oh yeah, let's go to In-N-Out. Maybe 2-3 times a week, right? And I'm have pizza like 2-3 times a week. And it was just like, that was normal. And I think some people that you see can maybe handle that and they might be fine. You see that person is like eats junk food their whole life and maybe smokes cigarettes and maybe has great genetics or whatever. But I wasn't so blessed or something like that. And I developed autoimmune disease eating like that. Some people develop cancers or diabetes. I had diabetes as well. And I was getting overweight and alcohol was becoming a problem. And I basically, my health was starting to fall apart. And I was surprised because I'm really young. I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease at 25, and most people around me weren't having problems. And it was almost like silent, like I wasn't telling anyone. And I mean, I feel like I was kind of maybe embarrassed because I was an athlete when I was in high school. So like I was doing really good. Did springboard diving and I used to do like flips and twists and all that sort of stuff into the water. And I was really good. I was number one in men's division one in high school, only after doing 2 years. And so it was a big surprise to be really struggling with health. Even I remember some friends when I shared some things, they're like, "Oh, I remember you playing football with us. Like, and you're fine." You know what I mean? Like I was like, that was before, like I got really sick, and I really wasn't feeling well because what happened was my spine they said it was starting to fuse together, and I had a autoimmune disease in my spine called ankylosing spondylitis. And what it felt like was I felt like I was in a car accident every single morning, like with a broken back, waking up and having to like just deal with really, really bad pain, taking painkillers and just doing anything I can to feel better. And once once I went to the hospital, they said that the medication was $4,000 for the medication. And that was the first time I was like seeing how crazy it was and kind of how people feel because they said that was the only option. They said there's no other option. You can't like they didn't to say eat different or exercise nothing. Actually, they said not to. They said you need to rest and you need to you can't go to the gym and work out because like risk of injury, right? And people that deal with this sometimes end up in a wheelchair. They have to be taken care of, like their spine fused together. Imagine if you couldn't bend any direction with your spine, like how limited you would be, and it hurt. Not just that it's stiff, like it freaking hurts, you know? It messes up like a lot of things, right? Even like I had like the mindset, oh, I can't have kids. How am I gonna have kids? More because of like how am I gonna take care of them? How am I gonna lift them up and play with them? Because that's what I wanted to do,
Hmm.
is be able to play with them and be active, right? And so what happened was I wasn't even gonna change. Like even with all that, you would think, oh yeah, like you should fucking change, bro. And it's like I didn't even know what healthy was. I thought drinking some low carb monsters was healthy. I thought eating um like some low carb pizza or like some chicken instead of pepperoni, like that was healthy.
Mhm.
After the gym, if I did go to the gym, I eat Subway and be like, I'm eating fresh. I believed all the marketing of all the restaurants. But what happened was my dad committed suicide. He took his life, and that's when I decided to change because I probably wasn't going to change. But it's almost like he gave up his life, and then I decided that I wanted to do better, right?
Mhm.
And that's when I said I'm gonna work on my health, and I'm gonna, I was doing fine in work and my job was fine, right? Like I wasn't like doing so bad or whatever. On the outside, people thought I was doing good, right? But I said I needed to make changes and all. I didn't know what I needed to make a change, but I went back to the hospital and I had started taking the medication because I didn't want it. I couldn't afford it at first, but then I had better insurance. Once I started taking the medication, um, I ended up getting sick, like the flu or something like that. And I got really, really sick, and I was sick in bed, and I couldn't get out of bed. I was so sick, like, because the medication uh, weakens your immune system. They tell you if you have an autoimmune disease, then your immune system is attacking itself, and so you need these medication in order to weaken the immune system. And so if you have a weaker immune system, then you're more likely to get sick, which is what happened. Because I was like fine mostly. I wasn't like the type of person that was sick. I would like never miss work, always on time, like never call out for like years. And so like I was not like the type of person that was sick, but I was like I couldn't get out of bed for 3 weeks straight. And while I was sick in bed, someone recommended me to watch the documentary What the Health.
Mhm.
And I was finally like listening and paying attention and like open-minded enough to take the information in. And What the Health kind of just talked a lot about the medical industry and the food system and how they're connected and like the money trail. They kind of like followed the money trail and just talked about how a lot of these diseases that we're facing are coming from the food and the pharmaceuticals. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, what the hell? And it was a shock. And then I decided to go plant-based or whatever. I tried it. And I think the next thing I watched was Cowspiracy, like maybe because it's like shows you on Netflix next. It's like, hey, do you want to watch this? And I was like, all right. So I watched that and I was like, I cared about the environment like I thought I did. And I was like, I would get like, if I was in my car and someone littered, I would get pissed off and be like, what the fuck? Like, why are you littering? Uh, but I didn't really do anything about it. And I wasn't doing anything about it, really. And that was really surprising that our food made such a huge impact on the environment and just in general. It's like, that's really crazy. And then I watched Earthlings next. I don't know exactly the timeline, but probably within a 24-hour period, those three. And that's when I was like, okay, well, if we don't have to eat animals and it's making us sick and it's so cruel, because Earthlings showed like what happens inside the farms and what goes on inside, like, and it's unnecessary and cruel. Like, why are we doing this? And I don't want to do this. And so that's pretty much what I changed. I pretty much went like vegan overnight, basically. And within like a few months, I lost 50 pounds. I started feeling better. I started feeling more energy. The pain in my back was a little bit better. I had a lot of improvements. My skin was starting to feel better. And I was able to do more sports and stuff. And like I wasn't, like, and to go to the gym, it wasn't so bad. And like there was still like, it wasn't perfect or whatever, but it was so much better. Like so much so that I was so inspired to keep learning more. And I just basically kept learning. And and it's been 8 years now, or about 8 years. And I feel like, yeah, every day is always learning something new. I remember like I was sitting down like and eating like pizza, and I decided a vegan pizza or something like that. And someone's like, "Why are you eating a vegan pizza?" and asking questions and like this and that. And they're like, "Well, what about like don't you need iron?" And there's no iron, and you need to eat liver. from animals to get iron or something like that, or whatever they were talking about, something like that. And I was like, I don't know at the time because I didn't know much, you know, I'm just like trying to figure it out. And maybe I knew, but I forgot, right? Like I don't know everything. And it's so interesting. Like now you're asking these questions, like you didn't care, you didn't care before.
Right.
But what inspired me was like, okay, let me go find out. Let me go look that up and see, oh, iron I can get, you know, in this plant, and I can get more iron over here and more iron over here. And so I just was like really fascinated with learning like where all those ingredients were coming from just because people were asking me. And so yeah, I just kind of started from there, and then like, oh, I didn't care about the ingredients until I was like, shoot, I'm like looking at all these ingredients. And then I really realized that like I just have a habit now of reading the ingredients and everything and just curious. Then I'm like, what's this in my shampoo and what's this in here? Just out of curiosity, because I'm like, what is this sodium triglyceride thing here? So that's how it started.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You and I have a lot of similarities. I'm going on my 8th year of being vegan. I had a similar kind of vegan awakening. Mine started off with cowspiracy. It was through the environmental lens. That's where I was introduced to veganism, was cowspiracy. And then I learned about that, kind of led me to the animal cruelty. So I saw, factory farm footage of animals. I saw slaughterhouse footage. And when I saw that, I was like, no, like it just hurt my soul when I saw that. I didn't know how bad it was, but anyone out there, it is a million times worse than you could ever imagine what they're doing to these animals. So I was first introduced with environmental lens, then the animal cruelty, and lastly, I found out about the health aspect. And I was like, wait, we're destroying the environment. We're torturing and killing billions of animals a year, and it's not healthy for us. I was just like, whoa, like, and those are all three of my passions, like health, environment, animals. So to me, it was just a no-brainer. And I was also kind of like you, like a junk food vegan. When I first went vegan, I ate a lot of the processed stuff. I ate Taco Bell, beef burritos, you know,
I
and
made I made a video how to eat vegan at Taco Bell. I don't know if you've seen
yeah,
that video.
that's hilarious.
I used to
But yeah,
make I used to go to places and film in the restaurants, and I would, you know, the what's it called, the series Man versus Food, where that guy goes and travels and eats at
yeah,
different restaurants and stuff and like does like these huge challenges. I was trying to do the vegan version of that. I called it vegan versus food. And I was like eating in all these restaurants and sharing it, but I wasn't doing the challenges because like I wouldn't I was never into competitive eating. I didn't
mhm,
like that. I wasn't into that. But yeah, I mean I was even doing that for a while at first, and wanted to do that. And I part of me felt like I wanted to try every single thing there was. And once I did, I was like, okay, now I believe you could have pretty much everything there is. Like I was like, I went to like Israel and Tel Aviv, and I had a vegan steak. Right? I was like, what's a vegan steak like? I had like this vegan sushi, like with this salmon. There was like this vegan salmon, like in Amsterdam. And it was like these places was like, I was like, is there? I was so fascinated. Can you eat? Like, can you replicate? You know, like all of these things, because I was in restaurants for 15 years, and I thought it was impossible. It's like, no, you need this and these animal products, you know, to make these taste. And it was just surprise, and that helped a lot, like learning that it was possible.
definitely. Yeah, and then we also, we kind of went vegan around the same time, around 8 years ago, for very similar reasons. And then, we're both. I literally told everyone I'm a junk food vegan. I did not do it for health. I did it for the animals. But now, like, health is a priority for me. I'm still vegan for the animals, always will be. But I'm also way more health conscious. And I think you and I kind of went more healthy around the same time. I think you went a little bit before me, but my eyes are really open. So I actually ended up moving to Belize for a little bit because of Kevin. So Kevin, I found out about a vegan eco village in Belize, in Southern America, or no, Central America. So I ended up going to Belize for like 4 or 5 months. Kevin was down there. There was a dozen or so of us in this vegan eco village in the rainforest of Belize. It was quite the experience, and that is actually when I learned a lot about the health things, because everyone there was just glowing and just so healthy and happy and had literally like a glow to them. And for me, I was always around a lot of vegans, but it wasn't a lot of healthy vegans. It was, just a lot of standard American diet, like vegan processed foods. And I was just like, wow, these people are glowing. And I was like, what is your secret? And you guys were all taking these products, right? And I was like, there was Purium, these Purium products, power shakes, and all this and that. And I was like so skeptical because I don't really do powders or supplements. Like I want, I'm always a believer of like let food be thy medicine, like get all your nutrients from food. But little did I know this was actually the, you know, top rated food in the world, just in like kind of a powdered form. So I was super skeptical, but you guys were just glowing and so happy. And then also I heard like the place we were staying in, there was, it was kind of big and open. There wasn't a lot of privacy. So I would hear you guys' Zoom calls with some customers that would take these products and do these transformations. And some of these customers were just like literally crying. They're like, oh my God, thank you so much. It like you helped me heal this and this. And I'd heard all these like success stories from real life customers when I was like I wasn't intentionally eavesdropping on the Zoom, but it was just an open space. I couldn't help but hear it. I was like, wow, maybe this stuff is the real deal. And then I was like, okay, whatever. I'll do this 30-day program. I'll do this cleanse. And I kind of, if you kind of want to talk about this 30-day program, because it completely transformed my life. And so if you kind of want to touch on that and how it transformed your life, then I could tell how it kind of transformed my life.
Well, let's, if you don't mind, we'll back up into Belize and the stories there, and then go into that, because it's all definitely connected, if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, like I was doing activism like almost full time basically. It was 2020, the pandemic was whatever, and I was doing as much activism as I could during that time because people weren't, and right before too. And I got to a point where I wanted to move, and I was looking just like you, and I wanted to go to a place that was, like all vegan and stuff like that. I thought that that would be pretty cool. And I didn't know that that was available, but the main reason I went there is I was I was engaged with someone who I met while I was working overseas, and we're together for 2 years. And I was going to move to Belize, and the reason why we chose there is because it was very friendly. Because she was from the Philippines and I'm from here, and we were looking for a place that was friendly for both passports, and Belize was great. And it all lined up because I did an interview on my podcast with the founder of that community, and I was blown away. I was like, that's really, really fascinating. And she was, oh, they're building homes. And I love your outlook on it. It's really positive. I have a very positive outlook. There was lots of challenges, you know what I mean, there. And it's not easy building a community, but I learned like a lot of the challenges of that. And it just makes us stronger, and I look at the same way as you, like only all the positives, even though like, I mean, there was like these botflies that had to get out of my body that were inside the jungle. You know what I mean? They were really gross that I could just look at like, the negative side, but I like, looking at the positive of that experience as well. And very similar to you is I knew a lot about health, and I was studying health, and I was studying to become a nutritionist. And I was learning a lot about that. And I had interviewed someone that had reversed their autoimmune disease on my podcast in person while I was in Bali, Indonesia. And that was my first experience. I was like, whoa, I knew it was possible, but that just really opened my mind. And she shared a lot of the stuff that we were eating, you know, in tropical paradise, right? All the fruits, you
Mhm.
know, clean foods, you know, more superfoods, more greens, you know, all that sort of stuff, and even recommended a lot of stuff that was similar, right? She's like, you know, try some spirulina that have these reishi mushrooms, have this, all these different things that are great for helping with autoimmune. And I didn't know about that. I knew about, you know, vegan burgers and cauliflower buffalo wings, you know, and of course I knew about fruit, but I wasn't thinking about using it as part of, you know, part of helping you feel better. But I knew it was possible. So similar to you going to Belize, is we went there. I went there right at the first flight after the pandemic in October, one of the first flights, and I was one of the first ones there. And I had a similar experience as you described, as I'd never been surrounded by so many people that were so healthy and so vibrant, but not just like, I've been around like healthy people, okay, but like it seemed like through and through, you know, overall, right? It seemed not just like, okay, yeah, you look healthy, that's cool. It's like your mindset and your mentality and your spirit and your energy, right? Like someone like Alice, right?
Yeah.
Like was like, okay, like there's something different about like you know what I mean? And your energy and spirit and everything, right? And she was, you know, similar to us, like eating a lot of junk food. Like she was a vegan junk food blogger, kind of like what I was trying to do, right? Like vlogging and doing and sharing all the popular restaurants. Um, and I also wanted to try. I already knew about it and had tried, but I wasn't that serious because I kind of like you, very skeptical, kind of like, I don't know, whatever, you know, that seems kind of interesting, like, you know, some greens or some powders or whatever. But that was the first time I actually did it myself in truly in the 2020 of December before you were there, when I felt
Mhm.
like a really the most profound experience. And it's definitely a huge combination of the food itself is so profound, but the environment, the atmosphere, the energy, being not distracted. So like, okay, let's say you're eating good, but then boom, I got my Taco Bell, I got the Taco Bell right down the street. I was thinking this while I was driving down the road. I bet people know the closest 5 fast food restaurants to their house right now, and they probably don't know the closest 5 farmers markets to their house right now, you
Mhm.
know? And it's just, there is so easy to get distracted from being healthy and overcoming it, that you might not give your chance to feel it. And I might not have been as motivated if I wasn't feeling so bad. You know, I'm very inspired by people like you, and even people really young. Like some people are like, man, I'm so serious about my health when they're young. And it's like just so fascinating because they didn't go through anything. You know what I mean? Like they don't have like the other side of like how bad it can be. But also I'm so surprised when people are like feeling so bad and they realize that they can feel better and they still choose not to, which is tough. You know,
Mhm.
both are tough, you know, and I get it. But I don't know if I would have changed. I would probably have been still eating in and out if I didn't have any negative consequences, right? And felt it. But essentially, um, what I like about the transformation and the ultimate lifestyle transformation and what helps me and why I was even inspired from the beginning was like I saw first like how it was from farm to family and there was family values, and that really inspired me. And I liked that it was like really more closely directly from the farm and getting stuff like that. I remember I was not getting stuff directly from the farm, and it wasn't as easy, and I was moving a lot or working a lot or traveling a lot. The second thing I really liked was how quick and convenient it was, and it is, because I like kind of like you, and like we get into this fast-paced lifestyle. We need like quick and convenience, and sometimes we take the something that's a microwaved, or we take something that's from a fast food, or we take something that's door dashed, or we take something that's so quick, and we often it's not usually healthy. And so I was very surprised that it could be very quick and healthy and also be enough to be a meal replacement. And also the biggest thing, one of the other things that surprised me was, let's say I go to the market and I do a good job on getting my groceries and I do a good job on getting my fruits and veggies. I don't know what they sprayed on it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know the soil quality. I don't know for sure how clean it is. And I don't know, yeah, the quality or the nutrient density. And then if it sits in my fridge for how long, like I have 2 huge watermelons right now that are done. Like I just I didn't get to them in time. I, you know, and I just bought another one, and I'm just hoping that one's better. I've had a bad luck streak on a few watermelons, but the reality is, like, it's waste. It's some waste right now that happens, and I, kind of like you, was really inspired tremendously by the environment and just limiting waste. Like when I was like, oh my gosh, one burger is 660 gallons of water, and all these things. I was like, I just been so ingrained against waste. Like, one, just like logically, like in our world and like all the people that need these resources and how low we're on resources, but like working in restaurants for so long, like it just ingrained being in management. There's like, don't waste the food, don't waste the food. And like, even I see like the waste numbers is crazy in some of these grocery stores. And the fruit, they might be wasting like 30% of that or 50% in some places. And that's crazy. Right. And so I'm always been against the waste and the plastic. Right. So plastic free was huge for me. All these foods are that we're buying, buy a quarter watermelon wrapped in plastic. You're like, and that's really common, right? A lot of people buying that, or all your blueberries in plastic, or all, like, so much of this food is in plastic. Even if you're like doing really good, you're buying your maybe cold pressed juice, and you're like, I'm doing great, and I'm doing healthy today, and it's in plastic, and you're like, how much microplastics? So all that stuff added up. I love that we're plastic free, and it's made from plants, and actually makes the soil quality better. Um, and I've seen inside the food facilities, like I filmed inside slaughterhouses, right? I filmed pig slaughter, and I filmed halal cow slaughter. And you can see the videos if you want. And I was inside the facilities for Purium's Foods, and I saw them preparing the Can't Beat This, which is the pre-workout, like passion fruit guava beets. Tastes really good. I like that one. And I was watching them prepare it, and they were doing it all by hand, because they switched from like putting it in plastic and putting it in plastic free. And if you ever used anything beets or any beet powder or anything like that, sometimes it could be a little bit messy and get some red on you, right? And they're all doing it by hand. And he's like has a coat or whatever, and like a protection, but there's some red on it, right? And I just remember like thinking in that moment, like this visual between two facilities where a lot of people eat out of, right? These animal factory farms, right? Or just animal farms. And there's blood, and it's disgusting. I remember they cut up the pigs and just throw the guts on the side, right? And they just cut and they just throw, and they had blood all over them, and they just throw. But those parts they throw on the ground, and it was all disgusting. Those parts are being eaten. That's not for waste. That's just sorting. Okay, here's part of the guts, here's part of this, right? And I just remember having the visual between the two facilities, like the red of the beets on this person and the red of the blood on the other person, and how disgusting and nasty it is from this facility, and how clean and pure this other facility is. And I'm like, I want to eat from this food facility. You know what I mean? I do not want to eat from this other food facility. And I've been in food for 15 years and seen all kinds of facilities, like all kinds of food production, all kinds of big refrigerators, all kinds of storage system, all kinds of places. I've never seen anything as clean as Purium's, anything as meticulous. They have an in-house microbiologist testing to make sure the purity of the food, right? And I've just never seen anyone so truly serious about the quality of the food, right? It's unlike anything that I've seen, and it's something that I trust. Like on my podcast, it's the only thing that I even share and trusted to recommend. I have tons of recipes and I have tons of food, but I don't recommend it that much, because honestly, when I share recipes, people don't follow it that much. It's too complicated for most people, even the simple ones. But let's say they do. Where are they getting that food from? What's the quality? How many chemicals? I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I don't feel as confident, right, in sharing that with people. But I do feel confident in sharing this, and I felt really great. And I've seen you and how you feel, and I've just seen so many people feel so much better. And it's so simple and so easy. And I just feel like anyone can do it. I don't care. It doesn't matter if you're what you eat or how you eat. It doesn't matter if you're healthy vegan or not healthy vegan. You just add one a day or two a day, or have it as a snack or have it as a pre-workout. Even if you're eating animal products, right? It is so easy to add. And then what happens is you add it in, and sometimes other things fall away naturally, because it covers so much of your nutrients, your vitamins and minerals. It just really gives a huge variety that oftentimes what you're feeling is you're reducing the cravings, not because you're like, oh, I don't I'm so full, that was so filling. It's less about that. It's more about you have all the vitamins and minerals that you need, that your body isn't sending signals for more food. So you're like, okay, actually, I'm good. Like, I don't need to eat more. And that's something that I didn't think was possible. They're like, how is this so low calories? How can you eat and be covered, right? And I can, and I do sometimes, right? And sometimes I add more, right? And sometimes I would mix it up. But I love the simplicity of anytime, anywhere I am, because anywhere I could drive down the road where I'm at right now, and there might be 10, 15 different fast food places. And that could be so easy. I'm driving now. Oh, I just so hungry. I'll just stop and have some fries. I'll just stop. Oh, I know they have a vegan option. Oh, I'll just stop and get that, and so it just helps with some of that.
Definitely. And then what, like, because I know you had a good health transformation and you had good progress when you just went vegan. But then when you went into like superfoods and did that Purium Ultimate Lifestyle transformation, like, did you have a deeper health transformation?
Yeah, because I was still having the symptoms sometimes at night, a lot of the autoimmune disease, and I was like have flare-ups, and I would still have like pain at night and waking up at night and not being able to sleep well, and that impacts everything, right? And so being able to sleep, like I remember I was able to sleep really, really great and all the way through the night, and I just continued and I could sleep great all the way through the night, and that's when my healing was feeling so much better, and I could really live now. Like you even remember before, like I struggled and I mean, when we're whatever, playing basketball or doing this or whatever, and my health now feels closer to as an athlete now, like when I was in high school, and I'm 36,
Mhm.
about to be 37.
Me
And
too.
yeah, exactly. And so that's where I feel like the foods almost are changing my genetics in a way positive, where like I'm able to not just reverse and feel better, but like starting to feel like I can be an athlete again and run a lot longer and having more endurance and being stronger and building more muscle. And for me, that's the improvements that I felt. And I know that I've seen that with a lot of people too, that are struggling with that area, and it makes a huge improvement for them. And that's where I see a lot of people, they might go through their healing transformation where they really are struggling with their health, and then if they choose to, sometimes they want to be athletes. Like there's so many people there now that they become like vegan bodybuilders sometimes because they
Mhm.
decided to, after they felt so much better, and if they were already feeling like that, and you're capable now, you have better recovery. And it's just, I know that some people are really have great genetics and really blessed. Like I see I listen to lots of stories. I'm just so fascinated with how people eat, like stories of NFL athletes. And like, there's like, like DK Metcalf, right? He's playing on Pittsburgh Steelers now. You
Mhm.
know him, played on the Seahawks,
Mhm.
right? I've seen like a little this, sometimes his diet is talked about just because it's very fascinating, but he like eats like candy, and coffee, right? And like and one meal a day or something like that. But an incredible gifted genetic athlete, and just has great genetics. And so sometimes those athletes that have great genes, sometimes they can go on for so much longer than other people, and
Mhm.
it's very unique. But someone like, let's say, Tom Brady, let's say, maybe isn't as gifted genetically as like DK Metcalf, right? Tom Brady, he needed to eat way more plants and focus on his water and take care of his recovery a lot better, and couldn't just eat candy and coffee and junk foods, right? And get away with it maybe early on, right? But yeah, and so yeah, I think like a lot of the talk that we talk about sometimes, like reverse aging sometimes, or anti-aging. Some of the messaging is a lot of anti-aging, and that's kind of like a lot of what I felt, right? Even like when I am shaven, right, and people whatever look at me, they look at me and say your skin looks like of the 20-year-old, right, or
Mhm.
22 or something like that, which is crazy to me because I always had terrible skin and I never was confident in my skin. Like I always had arm acne, back acne, before eating plant-based. And I didn't want to take off my shirt. I was uncomfortable. Like you've seen me up close, like in Belize, and like I don't have a single pimple anywhere on my back or anywhere, and I
Mhm.
wanted to be shirtless every single day. I didn't have any confidence like that, because I was like kind of embarrassed, like of having very poor skin health.
Definitely, definitely. Awesome. Yeah, I'll kind of share a little bit about how I got started and why I got started with the Ultimate Lifestyle Transformation Program. So I was very skeptical. And but after being around you all who had amazing transformations and you all were just glowing and shining, and everyone, like, so many people are like, oh, it helped, it healed my autoimmune. Another person was like, it helped with my asthma, I don't have asthma anymore. Another person was like, I got off depression medications and anxiety medications and all these things. There's so many success stories of people, healing themselves from certain conditions. And I was like, that is awesome, I love that. But I don't have any of that. Like, I wasn't on medication. I was like healthy for what I thought. And I was like, cool, that's awesome that you all got this, but like I'm healthy. I don't need this, right? Or so I thought. Um, so I did end up taking it, and my health was good. But after this, now it's like after I took it after a month, I went from good to great. But I've been, taking these products for like 4 years now. I have like superhuman health. Like it's insane. It's insane. So a couple of key things that it really helped me shift was I went vegan for the animals. It really wasn't for health. My diet was primarily 80% junk food, processed food, and probably 20% somewhat health food. That 30-day cleanse completely shifted that. Now my diet is probably 80% like organic, superfoods, like high quality foods. And then 20% is probably like, some junk food or some processed foods every now and then. But it completely flip flopped my diet, which is amazing. And now here's like one of the biggest hacks they don't tell you is after you heal your gut, you actually start to crave the healthy foods. Where before I would crave the unhealthy foods. And that's the hardest part is your craving. But once you start to crave real healthy foods, it's so simple. It's such a no-brainer. Like I don't even crave all the processed stuff that much anymore. I mean, yeah, I'll eat a processed vegan burger once or twice a month, but I'm not worried about it because 80% of my diet, like I'm cleansing, I'm putting in, all the good nutrition. So that was one amazing thing is it completely flip-flopped my diet to now where it's like 80% organic, whole foods, plant-based, superfoods. Another thing is I've been alcohol free now for a little over 4 years. The last sip of alcohol I ever had was with you when we went to what was it? Key Cocker in Belize. We went to like the tourist island, Key Cocker. And none of us really drank. Like we didn't drink that much, maybe once a month or every other month. And when we were on the island, we all went out to eat and everyone had like most people had like maybe one or two drinks. And that was the last time I drank alcohol. I think I had a margarita or something. But I was in the middle of this cleanse. I was like so feeling so good. And then I had a drink of alcohol and it didn't even really affect me much that night. I didn't really get much of a buzz or anything. But the whole next day, I was just off. I was like blah. And I wasn't hung over, but I was just like I could tell that alcohol, it just my body was rejecting it. I was like it's like and I was just like what was the point of one drink or two drinks when my whole next day was ruined? I wasn't hung over, but I just wasn't productive. I wasn't feeling myself. I didn't have energy. I was just like, why? Why am I doing that? It literally ruined my whole next day. So that was the last time I drank alcohol. And I credit the cleanse to that. Like my body's just like, no, we don't need that. And also I could just gain natural confidence where before I would need alcohol. It was like a social lubricant or like a crutch to be social and talk to people and be confident now I just don't care. I'm just like so happy, healthy, and confident. I don't really care what other people think, and half the people at bars I don't even want to talk to. So that I was actually the last time I drank. It completely flip flopped my diet. And another thing it did was I was actually hooked on energy drinks. I would drink Monsters or Red Bulls like one or two a day. And I also haven't had I think I had one or two energy drinks like since then, but I would do the can't beat this. That's like nature's energy drink. I love it. And it got me off it, but I wanted to try, the Celsius. They say that's the healthy energy drink nowadays. So I had one of those just to see. Oh my God, when I took a sip, it tasted so fake, so artificial. I could literally taste the chemicals. I was like, what the hell is this? And I ended up finishing it, but then I was like jittery and anxious. And I was like, man, that was the last time I drank one of those too, which is like a year or two ago. So it completely got me to stop drinking alcohol, stop drinking energy drinks, and completely flip flop my diet from ultra processed foods to superfoods. And I actually crave the good foods now. So it was just a no brainer. And now, like, I was always in good health, but now it's just, I feel like I'm at superhuman health. Like, it's unreal. So if this is for everyone, I thought it wasn't for me because I was like, oh, I'm fine. But yes, I was fine. Now I'm super.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I remember the first time feeling like I didn't really realize the chemical taste or anything like that until I was more clean. And I was like, I remember even eating an apple. And I was like, whoa, I can't believe I can taste this. I don't remember ever tasting this. Like the sensitivity was, I think we're so desensitized. Our taste buds were so not working properly. It almost like you ever had like you drink a Coke and then you drink a Diet Coke or vice versa, and it's like whoa, like like in a short amount of time, you're like that taste is so different. It's a little bit, it's a little bit like that too. Is like that taste change, and I agree with the energy drinks as well. Was definitely one of the problems and stuff like that. And the can't beat this is like my replacement for energy drinks or coffee when I feel like I want something like that. And I just started enjoying the taste. It reminds me of like I liked the energy. The Monster that I liked was the juiced one. So the one
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of like juice. It was that's why it's called juiced is because and was that one I liked is more carbonated and the healthier non-carbonated one. Well, I forget the rehab one.
Yeah.
Because and like so and that's almost like the cocoa hydrate, in a way. And so you mix those two together, you mix can't beat this and cocoa hydrate, and it's really, really delicious. And I never liked
It's
anything
one of
really
my
beets.
favorite.
Yeah, I never liked anything beets or anything like that before. Actually, I hated coconuts before because I didn't really know. And the reason why I remember when I was a kid, coconut, when I think about coconuts, is like coconut flakes or something like that. No, it always ruined whatever it was. But like, why are there these coconut flakes that are messing up the cake? And so
That
they were always in the way of the delicious thing. So I always saw them as a not good thing. Actually, I was living in Belize and having real coconuts from the trees and real coconut water and tasting it that I was like, okay, this is really good and this is different. I definitely like this. And so yeah, I mean, even eating more fruits and stuff like that, like was so hard in the beginning. I remember I was working with someone who's a fruitarian. I did gardening in San Diego. We planted gardens around San Diego, organic gardens. We built garden beds, all kinds of stuff. And he was a fruitarian. And I was like, I remember working with him and like we were eating a lot of fruit and it was so hard. And it took me a lot of time to get used to it, but I eventually did. And I remember like feeling grateful and like, okay, and also it was good to see like in person, like, whoa, like how hard you can work. Cause you think like, oh, you just eat fruit, you're going to be weak and you can't do this and this and that, you need to, whatever you think you need to eat to be
mhm.
stronger. Right. And it was just so fascinating to like work with someone that, that was so so much endurance and so much strength, right? Because we work together. I could see, you know, I know how much work we're doing and how hard it is, and like how long we're going for, and how we're like nonstop. And it was just so impressive, and it was just fascinating. It just made me see what's possible. Like oh, you could. I mean, if you want, you could survive on fruits if you want. You know what I mean? But I'm more similar to you. Like I think it's probably closer to like that. Probably closer to like 80-20 or whatever. And I don't go by labels of like I'm raw, I'm this, you know, like so many, like just because like everyone judges you
Mhm.
like on like before they meet you on whatever they think based on your diet or whatever you claim. So, but yeah, I mean, how I actually eat is definitely a lot of definitely raw and probably 80-20 ish. You know, like some junk foods.
Yes, I that's another thing when I went to Belize is I was never a big fruit eater. I would maybe have fruit once or twice a week. And then I went to Belize and you're surrounded by fruit. The fruit is so much better there than it is in the States. But ever since going to Belize and eating all that delicious fruit and also, doing the cleanse, like now I crave fruit. And before some of you all like you would eat fruit as a whole meal, like just a giant thing of watermelon for lunch or mangoes for lunch. I thought that was crazy. I was like, you can have fruit as a whole meal? But now I do that and I freaking love it. But before, the first time I saw it, I was like, that's not a meal. But now it's like one of the best meals. And I feel so during the day, I try to be raw till dinner, raw till 4. That's how I function the most, the best, the most productive. I feel the lightest, have the most energy, the most mental clarity. So I try to do smoothies and fruit and power shakes and juice during the day. That's when I'm the best. And sometimes when I'm not perfect and I eat a cooked meal for lunch, the whole rest of my day I'm just like bogged down. Oh man, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. But when I'm on fruit and juice and raw, oh, just vibing high, feel unstoppable. And then I eat a nice big cooked meal for dinner. I try to be as organic and as possible, but always vegan. And then I eat that, and it does kind of make me tired, but it's at night when I'm trying to relax, so it's perfect. But that what works is ideal for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, we kind of talked a lot about how this program transformed our lives. Do you kind of want to touch on some of the products? There's like 5 key products in the Ultimate Lifestyle program.
Yeah, most people start out with what you're describing, the ultimate lifestyle transformation. It sounds kind of intimidating or whatever, but it's just a nice combination of foods that go together. You have the green juice, which I didn't really know much about green juice, but it's really great. Um, in terms of getting your greens in a clean, healthy way, you know, and that is kind of the game changer in a way because it's so sweet and delicious. That
Mm,
I didn't really like that about most green juice. Like I remember I tried doing celery juice and I tried, you know, doing even some of the cold pressed juices and stuff, and I never really liked it that much. But this is like the first one that I was like, you know what, I really like this. It tastes really great. It's sweetened with monk fruit and it has some ancient grains in there. So like it helps you stay full, and that kind of makes it different. It's kind of like a smoothie,
mm,
kind of like, to be honest, more
definitely.
than a green juice, right? And and then a lot of people have protein, and that's great. No one's really this day and age protein deficient, but if you want to get pure protein and you're like, okay, well, I really want like just the amino acids and I don't want anything else with it, and you could have that like before a workout, or you can have that, you know, sometimes for a snack. Some people like it covers them for a snack for like people that are like, you know, if they want to just get by really quick. But the aminos are called Super Amino 23. It goes into the bloodstream in 23 minutes, and they're made from fermented lentils. And so they're vegan, and it's really great. It might be a great replacement if you're doing any kind of any kind of, yeah, fitness stuff would be great, or like even pre-workout. It could be great for before your workout as a pre-workout. And most people report, and I really feel great as far as building lean muscle, and also just it's something that you could add to a lot of different things if you want to. If you're making a smoothie already, or if you're making food, even the greens too. I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, maybe I don't have a green juice, but I love pancakes. Okay, well, put in your pancakes. I don't know if you ever had Power Shake pancakes or anything like that. That works really great for the kids. My cousin, does that for his kids. And then you have, which one thing is called biomedic, which is the gut health piece. And that to me is probably one of the main things that helped me the most for sure on my journey. And one of the things that's most unique to anything that I've seen, it's like an all-in-one gut health solution. And it helps to remove glyphosate from the body, repair your gut microbiome, and replenish all of the good bacteria into your gut. If you're having alcohol or junk foods, or even if you ate animal products in the past, or you're eating foods with Roundup on them or glyphosate sprayed on them, it could be damaging your gut lining, and you may not be absorbing food effectively. And so that helps to cover your gut health piece. And then you also have the tart cherry juice, which is at nighttime, and that helps your circadian rhythm. It's really sweet. I add that to my Can't Beat This sometimes. Sometimes I'll add that to my Power Shake. You have it right before you sleep, and it helps you to sleep better. And it's really, really great and really simple. And the last thing would be the parasite cleanse, the herbs. So there's some herbs there's fruits and herbs that help to aid your body in releasing parasites. And a lot of people think that might be weird, or some people might be whatever, anti-parasite or anything like that. But definitely give that a shot and see how you feel. Because I was really surprised at the cravings and how I feel differently in terms of sugar cravings and being able to control it throughout that. And also for anyone suffering with autoimmune, it's definitely something that a lot of people experience. And I have that maybe twice a year. And what's recommended for just the parasite herbs, it's not something you need definitely all the time. And if you add those in for 30 days, 90 days, just see how you feel. Most people are reporting, kind of like Lance is talking about, feels a lot better, right? I definitely feel incredible, and it tastes really, really great. And you're getting it from clean source, right? Because there's a lot of questionable things out there when it comes to supplements and hacks and all these different things in foods. And, I see people taking all kinds of weird stuff, but all of this stuff is from food, in food grade, and really, really clean. And that's what I like about it. I honestly don't even I've tried lots of different things, but I don't even take anything else like that. If I'm like, oh, I want to try something unique or different, or anything like a unique food, I usually try something that Piri might have to offer already, right? Like I was so curious on Shilajit and Irish sea moss and like these things. I was like, that looks interesting, right? I'm curious, and I was grateful that we came out with something that has both of those things together in it, called pineal clear, which helps with your pineal gland. And yeah, I like adding that in addition, maybe before bed, or sometimes I add that in my Can't Beat This, right? So I just look at it as like a store that you might go to down the street, right? That you can go to online that has foods that are really good for you.
Definitely. They make organic nutrition made simple, delivered to your door. Like it's just so easy, so affordable, and it's just, especially for someone being in real estate. Like real estate agents are always on the go. They're driving from house to house. A lot of agents are eating fast food or eating out. Where this, you just need a freaking water and a thing. You just mix the powder in, shake it up, drink it, boom. And the Power Shake, has a nutritional equivalency to 6 organic microgreen salads. And I'm vegan and I hate salads. I still am not a salad guy. So that I drink my salads, and this is actually delicious. So that's how I get my greens in. And it's just super simple. So if you all are interested in doing like a 30-day, cleanse, reach out to me or Kevin. I do it once or twice a year. It's a staple, and it's super easy. It's not a strict cleanse or like a strict diet. You're not starving yourself. Where if you're hungry, then there's healthy snacks you can eat. So it's not one of those strict diets or cleanses. It's one of the one of
You
the
don't even have to be
simplest.
perfect.
Yeah, you don't
I
have to be
see
perfect.
I see some people might just be like, oh, I mean, some people be like, oh yeah, we'll have like just exactly how you might be eating. They might be have a few of the green juice or whatever during the day, and then they might have a big meal during nighttime. They might even have two big meals, you know what I mean, and two green juice or whatever. And yeah, I think then yeah, even that is a huge impact on your life.
Definitely. And I actually had one of the biggest breakthroughs doing this, not being perfect. I was really good for 2 weeks when we were in Belize. And then I had, some alcohol, a drink or two in the middle of it. And that made me feel like crap the next day because I felt so good. It's such a high. And ever since then, I was like, no, like, so sometimes for me, it was good to not be perfect and feel how bad all the other stuff is to where it literally it implemented that lesson in me to like never drink again. So don't be perfect, but be aware of how you feel when you eat the crap food.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, I think that kind of covers it. We're going on an hour now. Uh,
Well, I have a
I
couple
like
questions if you want.
yes, let's go.
Okay, well, let me just share something that maybe people might be interested in, and then I'll ask a couple questions. So one is there is for anyone that's looking for maybe to learn more about this too, and maybe they want to meet in person, right? And they want to get a chance to feel the high vibe family. In Los Angeles, we're having an event and everyone's invited and you can come. And Lance, you're going, right? To the event
Which
in
event are
July.
you referring to?
To the event in July in the Purium event.
The convention, or is
Yeah.
it a different?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, yes, I'll be there.
Yeah. So that's invited for everyone. So anyone can go to that, just so you know. So you can get a chance to meet Lance there. I think I'm going as well. That's one thing I was going to share. So if you want to learn more, that's one of the best things that you can do is go in person and meeting everyone. And also everyone's unique and everyone's like-minded. That's the thing I think a lot of people think is sometimes when you go to some kind of event that everyone is all like that, it just might be the focus of that, right? But anyways, it's all about health and wellness. And I think if you're focused on that, that's really great. And there's another event that I'm going to as well that you can go to or anyone can go to as well called the Vegan Wellness Retreat. And so that's definitely in alignment with a lot of people probably listening as well right now. And that's going to be in Michigan in August, at the end of August. So the first one's in July, earlier in Los Angeles. So people closer to Los Angeles or Southern California, anyone in the middle America, the Veganist Wellness Retreat. And then you can learn so much more about eating healthier and feeling better. Sometimes going around and being surrounded by people helps the most. I swear I might not have made the biggest changes or made an impact in my own health just doing it alone. I really needed to be surrounded by people, kind of like you, like be surrounded in the jungle, go to a retreat, go to a place, go to an event. And I know you go to a lot of events and it makes such a huge impact in your life on these events. All right, so my question is, what does empathy mean to you?
Well, what does empathy mean to me? That is a good one. Empathy means, hmm, honestly, just doing things for others. I went vegan because I have empathy. Like being vegan, especially in the beginning when I was a junk food vegan, really didn't benefit me that much. But I did it for the animals. And when I feel like when you do something for others, you're more likely to stick to it. Where sometimes, like if I'm going to the gym and no one knows, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym now, I might skip it. So sometimes we let ourselves down more than we let others down. So that's what I don't know if that answered your question, but empathy to me, I really am empathetic for like the animals and for others.
Yeah, no, that's great. What's the craziest thing you've ever done for animals?
I've done a couple. So, big activist. I've done a lot of. I've been arrested twice for animal rights, and one of the times spent 3 days in jail and was actually going to go to trial, and I was arrested. It was two felonies and one misdemeanor, and I was facing up to 18 months in prison. But and I wanted to go to trial. There was a group of us, and we wanted to prove the right to rescue, where we would set the legal precedent to rescue animals from criminal animal abuse. And so that's what we were pushing. And there was like a whole 2 year period where I was supposed to go to court. It kept getting pushed back, and the whole court process is long. But at the end of the day, I never pleaded guilty, and they kind of just dropped it. They're like, "Hey, you're not pleading guilty. Uh, do 20 hours community service and don't get arrested for a year, and we'll forget this ever happened." So that's kind of the craziest thing I've ever done for animals, for animal rights.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when like any stories like that of anyone, from you to anyone that's been arrested or any kind of serious kind of charges, even that serious or close to, or even further, for the animals and something that seems so makes no sense, right? Like let's say you reverse the roles and you replace it with a dog or a cat or something like that, and you just play out the logic behind it. You would just say, that's ridiculous. Like, what in the hell? Like, you're going to be facing, 2 years or whatever, for saving a dog that was suffering, right? It just makes no sense logically, right? The time frame, the sentencing, like just the all of it, right? And even that it's a problem, right? It
Mm.
shouldn't even be existing, right? But then, yeah, it's just so crazy. And I think but that helps in a lot of ways. I think people's mindset, like, to see the hypocrisy for some people, where they see sometimes that and they're just like, that's crazy. And they questions, like they question the craziness of it, and then they think like, wait, I'm supporting this. I'm
Mm.
I'm wait, and they have the realization, and that's part of what helped me too, as well as like the empathy for others, to definitely like, how can I do this to someone else? And then also, yeah, just that part of it, right? It helps me to continue. You're gonna say something?
Definitely, yeah. It is kind of crazy whenever I tell people, I was arrested. They're like, "Well, you deserve it. You're trespassing. You're on a farm, this or that." But then, like you said, if you use an example with dogs or cats, they're all for it. So, for example, like, yeah, we did go on a farm, but we didn't trespass. According to California law, we had a legal right to be there. So we ended up rescuing, 32 ducks from criminal animal cruelty. Where if you in most states, right, if you see a dog in a hot car, trapped in a hot car, you could legally break that window of the car to save the dog, right? And you're not going to get in trouble for vandalizing a car or whatever. And also a lot of states where the weather gets below freezing in winter or cold, if there's a dog, if your neighbor has their dog outside in the cold at night or overnight when it's freezing cold, you could legally trespass onto their property to save that dog. Um, every state's different, but most states has that law. So everyone understands that. But then when it comes to animals on factory farms, they don't quite get it unless you use examples like that. So in California, there was kind of a legal loophole where most states, they didn't have those same rights for farmed animals. Most states had those rights for domestic animals like your cats or dogs, your pets or whatever. But in California, there wasn't an exemption for farmed animals. So we have the legal right to help these animals, rescue these animals, that were going through criminal animal cruelty. And we wanted to go to court. We had all the evidence on our side, and they knew that. So I feel like that's kind of why our charges were dropped. Well,
And
mine were.
I don't think people realize that like criminal animal cruelty sounds so intense and oh it's cruel. Oh, it's not that cruel. I don't think people realize like how insanely cruel it is and how it's happening like all over the place and everywhere. Even like the where I filmed in was local. People are like, "Oh no, just go local. It doesn't happen locally." Yes, it does. It was local, right? Organic, grass-fed, like all the nice things and they beat them like over and over and over before they stunned them and slit their throat. Like it's beyond insane how cruel it is, right? Even if it's local, even if it's organic, even if they are really great on the farm, right? They're going to these really bad places. Like the nice farms don't have the heart to kill them, right? And even if they do, like in my opinion, I've said this before, in my opinion, if you have a happy, healthy animal, they're thriving and they're doing so great and they're in the prime of your life and you're so nice to them and so caring, and then you take their life, that's worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's worse than the one that's suffering a short life, in my opinion. And so either it's just and that's where I got to the point like I couldn't find any logical justification for it, like ever, like in any way, even like someone's like, I'm ex-vegan or anything like that. I
Yeah.
think like there's no such thing. Like what is like there's no that's not even a real that's you like maybe you tried a plant-based diet for a little bit and you gave up. And like maybe you're looking for attention right now. Like it just looks like attention because that's not I don't know. Anyways, okay. How do you envision the world and where you'll be in 10 years?
Whew. How do I envision the world where I'll be in 10 years? So one of my big goals is, to end
Sorry, the
animal
where
exploitation.
maybe I said it wrong, but how do you envision the world will be is kind of what I meant to be. The world will be and you in 10 years.
Yeah, so I want to create a world. You and I, we're both fighting for a world free of animal exploitation. So I would love to create a vegan world. One of my big missions is like that. I think something very doable in 10 years is ending factory farming. I think that's very doable, and that's kind of one of my big things. But I'm going to end all animal cruelty. But in 10 years, I think we could end factory farming worldwide.
And you, and that's it. Is that all you want to say?
I mean, for that's where I hope the world will be. No more factory farms. And for myself, I'll be 10 years older chronologically, but I'm gonna try to be 5 or 10 years younger biologically. So I just feel like I'm aging in reverse. I'm like fine wine.
Yeah, definitely. And and you are definitely very healthy, in great shape. And I've worked out with you and done some sports and activities with you, and you're definitely and for your age in great shape, which is amazing. And I know sometimes it's hard for us to gauge it, when we're like when we're just ourselves, right? But you're definitely a good role model for that, and I think that that's important too. And that's the one thing I learned a lot in general from lots of different people, meeting people like you and doing this podcast is doing my best to be a good role model, and just the impact that that has, and the impact that you have. Like sometimes people are like think that you need to be shouting more and protesting more and doing more things, but like the impact that you make is of being a good role model, and the things that you do share is very important, and it is making an impact. And I know sometimes we feel like we need to be in there and we need to be in it, we need to be in the front lines, right? but but what we're doing is definitely important, and the impact is very important of being a good role model, because sometimes people look at like, well, I want to live a better lifestyle, a different lifestyle, vegan lifestyle, more cruelty free. But I don't want to be like those people. I don't want to be like that, And so sometimes that's tough, just the reality how some people are, but the impact of being a good role model, like what you do, and how you share it and how you show up in the world is makes a bigger impact than maybe you realize.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. And likewise, right back to you. You are a big inspiration. Um, you're awesome. I, started a podcast and you actually helped me out a lot. So I appreciate all of that. And, we're fighting the same fight. And I'm excited to be doing this alongside with you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you to another 10 great years of making the world a better place. And yeah, keep up the great work, and I'm excited to see what you do, and I know you're gonna continue to help even more people, and yeah, just you being you is doing it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kevin. Now, could we end with some funnies?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Listen,
We could do that. I was thinking it was the end, but yeah.
what was that the end of your portion?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, I like to wrap up my podcast with a joke off. So I love corny dad jokes. The cornier, the better. The worse, the better. So, did you prepare or did you bring a dad joke for us, Kevin?
I prepared a dad joke.
Let's hear it.
All right. Why don't seagulls fly over the bay?
Why don't seagulls fly over the bay? Why?
Oh, why? Oh, I thought I thought you were
Oh yeah,
continuing.
why?
Because it froze for a second, so I was like, "And are you going on?" Okay, so because then they would be called bagels.
Bagels. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Because it may be called bagels.
I
All
live right
right,
by the bay. I live close to the bay here.
that was pretty good. That was pretty good. All right, so here's mine. How do you make a robot mad?
A robot mad?
Yes.
How?
You keep pushing its buttons.
Yeah.
So bad, but yet so good.
I'm thinking like Bender. Like Bender and Futurama.
Right. Well, awesome. That's all I have. Where could the people find you at, Kevin? Your podcast, your Instagram, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, mostly Kevin Luna. You'll probably find it mostly everywhere if you search Kevin Luna in all the places. And the podcast is the Empathy Podcast. You can find anywhere you find podcast on Apple, Spotify. You could type in the Empathy Podcast with Kevin Luna. Instagram is Coach Kevin Luna. But still, most of the things come up there, even YouTube or whatever. You search Kevin Luna.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Had a blast. See you later.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man. See you soon.
1